Howdy, my name is Michael Woodcock, and this is the strategic analysis of Valero Energy for Dr. Uche's Mara 466 Strategic Management course. Let's begin with Valero Energy's history. Valero Energy was established on January 1st, 1980, originally named for the San Antonio de Valero mission, the Alamo's first name. Valero is one of the largest automated refineries in the world today, based in San Antonio, Texas. In the 1980s, Valero's natural gas company distinguished at the point of purchasing half of a refinery in Corpus Christi, Texas. Valero vitally gained more subsidies in the coming years and had the option of entering various wholesale and retail markets in the US, Canada, UK, and all around the globe. In 2004, Valero purchased a 315,000 barrel per day processing plant in Aruba that expanded the global effort of the company. At that time, in 2005, after the purchase of Premcor Inc. and its 4 plants, Valero became North America's largest autonomous refinery. In 2009, Valero entered the ethanol business and is now one of the country's largest producers of ethanol. For the past 40 years, through the acquisition of various organizations, Valero has grown and evolved into one of the largest autonomous refiners. Today, still located in San Antonio, Texas, Valero can refine about 3.1 billion barrels and is one of the leading producers of ethanol with its 11 ethanol plants. Valero's Energy's primary focus is on building value for its shareholders and partners. To their continued competitiveness, being a leading player within the market needs a comprehensive strategy and a lot of continuity. Such consistency has been accomplished by achieving success in important areas and dedication to being an excellent company. In 2018, Valero was able to return $3.08 billion by distributions to investors, generating just $3.12 billion in net earnings for Valero Energy Company stockholders alone, raising annual dividends by 14%, keeping an investment-grade credit ratings, and maintaining a low debt-to-capitalization ratio. In their 2018 financial report on page 2, Valero's results were the result of their strategic contributions made over the past 5 years. A capacity to adapt and be flexible in the refining industry has allowed them to obtain the extra margins they have today. The demand for refined products is not going to decline due to the low oil prices and a thriving economy. Today, Valero has successfully cut $1.87 billion in cost savings since 2007. The way they measure their success is through the health and safety of their employees and contractors. During 2018 alone, Valero had a good year in terms of strategic success. In Diamond Green, they were able to expand their green diesel facility, adding 280 million gallons of ethanol to their annual production. 3 ethanol plants, storage facilities, and a gas supply facility in Peru were also purchased. This allowed them to expand their growing logistics and distribution capacity internationally. The purpose of this entire study is to conduct a detailed strategic review of Valero Energy. This is accomplished by undertaking an internal review, first to identify potential advantages and challenges, to assess Valero's demand and sector competitors. Once the external assessment is completed, an internal review will be used to assess the strengths and expertise and key competencies of the organization. 2 proposals are made following the conclusion of both external and internal analysis to help the company remain competitive and assist in its growth and progress. The external analysis consists of the following: the general environmental analysis, which includes demographic, economic, political, legal, socio-culture, technological segment, and global segments. Following, the industry analysis, which is a description of the industry dominant economic features, market size, market growth rate, and industry trends. Followed by the five forces analysis: the threat of new entrants, power of suppliers, power of buyers, power of substitutes, and intensity of rivalry. Next, the driving forces analysis, and finally the competition analysis: the industry competitors, rivals' anticipated strategic moves, and key success factors. Let's begin with the general environmental analysis. The general environmental analysis is the purpose of an external analysis on the environment is to provide an in-depth view of the immediate environment around the firm. These are to include the general environment, demographics, economics, political and legal requirements, society and culture, and technology. Each of these segments are going to be discussed separately in order to determine what the oil and gas industry are challenged with in their immediate environment. With this analysis, firms in the oil and gas industry will be able to face the most crucial and important challenges that are presented while developing their strategies. As you can see here, these are the 6 segments of environmental analysis: global high, demographic high, economic high, technological high, political legal high, and socioculture high. Let's begin with the demographic statement. The demographic statement in the oil and gas industry is slightly different than other industries compared. Growth in the oil and gas industry has grown compared to the last couple of years. There is a reduction in the number of trained and skilled workers when this growth is combined with a decline in oil and gas industry population and those expected to retire in the future. This problem has not gone unquestioned, but it has been very difficult to deal with. Smaller companies and larger corporations are facing the same problems throughout the geographic region. Rapid expansion and the need for innovation are global and ultimately affects everywhere the need for jobs. Young and skilled workers are in high demand to fill positions Young and skilled workers are in high demand to fill positions left empty by those who retire in the future. That's why trends impact the oil and gas industry so much. Looking into the economic segment, no other sector, such as the oil and gas industry, is so interdependent with the world economy. The relationship between it and the global economy is very critical because of the dependence on oil and gas for economy survival. Many economic factors that affect the market sector of the oil and gas industry include the dollar value and the input of crude oil. Due to the global use of the dollar to trade oil, the value of the dollar is one of the leading economic factors affecting the oil and gas industry. And due to interest rates, the value of the dollar has dropped significantly in 2008 as oil prices were high. It means that when the value of the dollar declines, the price of crude oil increases, which in turn means that producers still have the same minimum oil prices in their own currencies after exchanging the dollar in their own currencies. Looking into the legal segment, the oil and gas industry as a whole must comply with many strict laws and regulations, ranging from complicated drilling regulations to environmental health and safety regulations. There is also an element of confusion that is rather high when it comes to complying with different laws. Nevertheless, the environment and climate change are major legal concerns. Most of these come from local, federal, national, and international laws and regulations that are very comprehensive and thorough with respect to the goods and companies of the oil and gas industry. They range from emission controls, issues of climate change, and oil-specific legislation. These laws and regulations that need to be adhered to under considerable pressure from companies and have a significant impact on the competitiveness of companies in this sector. Failure by firms to comply with these strict and detailed laws and regulations would result in demand for suspension of operations and large non-compliance fines. In summary, this factors in the high impact that the legal sector has on the oil and gas industry because of the negative effects it can have on a company's productivity. Moving on to the political segment. Certain concerns that may have threatened a company's investment and deter its activities are violence, protests, unrest, environmental regulatory changes, land nationalization, and conflicts. These risks have had a negative impact on the oil and gas companies that are common in oil-rich countries. Cleaner energy options are due to climate change and anxiety about the loss of natural resources. This also has a strong impact on the industry. Some of these are caused by, quote-unquote, passing various environmental laws, regulations, and treaties such as the Kyoto Protocol, which implements a legally binding agreement allowing countries to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions that result in lower production and growth opportunities. All of these political factors have a significant impact on the legal environment as they threaten the profitability and the survival of these oil and gas companies, such as Valero. The socioculture segment. Social responsibility for society and government has evolved as climate change concerns have arisen. Our focus is on the alternative energy sources such as biofuels, solar, hydro, and wind. Since these climate change concerns have emerged, People have put greater emphasis on preservation and protection of the environment and the support of a healthy lifestyle. As these new and emerging sustainable and environmentally friendly technologies are generated and the cost of producing them decrease, the industry becomes less attractive to the globe. Therefore, socioculture has a strong impact on the oil and gas sector. The technological statement. The oil and gas markets are driven by technology. The research and technology that is being used is necessary to fulfill the energy needs of the planet. From the moment oil is discovered, engineering is necessary to pump petrol from a fuel pump. Technology enables changes in reserves, oil exploration, and research. Because of this innovation, companies can gain a competitive advantage. In the future, technology will improve and have a major impact on the development of the oil and gas industry, and we will eventually support it in the long run, giving it a strong influence on the industry. The global segment. Due to globalization, international trade has increased dramatically in the oil and gas industries over the past several years. As petroleum trade increases, industry-related activities will rapidly increase, as well as demand for petroleum products will increase. Globalization leads to development problems in development countries. This is due to labor and developing country conflicts. Eventually, the economy could expect to fall without energy. This is why a growing supply of energy is important, and why globalization is such a high impact factor in this field. The industry analysis. In the business review, the industry's dominant economic characteristics, the market size, the rate of market growth, and industry's trends will be analyzed and an overview of the industry will be given. It provides valuable and much needed insight that an organization needs to develop a strategy to be profitable and fly past its rivals. Dominant economic features. The economic characteristics dominate the oil and gas industry. The most important were market size, market growth speed, and industry trends experienced by companies throughout the year. To succeed and remain active on the market, these must be understood and overcome. The oil and gas industry is focused on economies of scale, as well as its products. It helps companies gain a competitive advantage. This can be achieved by understanding price, resources, time use, and designing solid strategies. To the market size. The oil and gas industry accounts for more than 70% of the world's energy output. Therefore, development will always be required, not for just a form of energy, but for other oil and gas industry products. Leading into the market growth, the world economy is booming and expected to keep rising. As a result, the oil and gas industry will potentially face a shortage of supply. It may be hard to grasp that there is a shortage of supply in the future, particularly when that is the U.S. oil production. The market is improving and oil prices have declined. With the growing demand for oil and increasing investment in new infrastructure, there is a possibility that less supplies will be available. Increasing growing demand for oil and rising investment in new projects, there's a possibility that there will be less supplies available. Leading into the trends, the industry trends, that due to the impact of the decisions in one situation and the outcome for another case, the oil and gas industry is very reactive. Oil supply is the first available. Oil-rich exporters have a major impact on the oil industry globally because they are the largest producers. A drop in oil supply could contribute to oil price inflation. A second theme in the oil and gas industry is the power outlook strategy. It applies to the use of future energy, which will enable national and international predictions of future policies on supply and demand energy use. The goal is to manage resources and increase the use of resources. The five forces analysis. The study of the five forces helps companies to determine their industry trends, the industry's competitiveness, and the industry's competition, and how to predict and overcome future challenges they may face. These five forces are to include the bargaining power of buyers, bargaining power of suppliers, threat of new entrants, threat of substitutes, and rivalry among its competitors. The analysis of the five forces helps companies to assess their industry trends, the industry's growth, the industry's rivalry, and how they can forecast and overcome the challenges they may face in the future. Shown is the five forces analysis. Let's break that down. The threat of new entrants into the oil and gas industry is weak because new entrants find it challenging to establish business in the oil and gas industry. As far as bargaining power of suppliers in the oil and gas industry, it's very moderate. They are fully integrated suppliers in the oil and gas industry, which are active in the entire process throughout it. The bargaining power of buyers. Due to the global oil benchmarks, buyers cannot affect the price of oil. The only bargaining power that buyers really have in the industry is the quality of oil they will purchase. Because of this, bargaining powers of buyers is fairly weak. And the threat of substitutes. Alternative sources can replace oil and gas. However, it takes a lot of spending and research and development, and consumers are not so quick to move from gasoline to another source of energy. Because of this, the threat of substitutes currently is a weak force amongst the oil and gas industry. As far as rivalry goes, competition in the oil and gas industry is very tough and intense. High rivalry among existing competitors can limit the industry's profitability depending upon the competition intensity and the basis, and therefore it is a high force. The driving forces. Any company needs to examine and recognize the factors behind an industry and its transformation. It allows them to come up with a strategy that can be applied in response to these driving forces. In this industry, there are four driving forces. This includes technology, sustainability, globalization, and cost effectiveness. Let's take a look. Globalization. It's a high impact force because globalization creates problems where the competition for jobs becomes unrelenting. It is expected that these resourceless economies will fail. Increasing the quantity of energy products is important, particularly to keep the global economy running. Technology. It is a high impact force as well, because the ongoing development of technology and its advances would keep firms competitive and the oil and gas industries thriving. This is accomplished by ensuring that the design is compatible with the research systems and norms. Sustainability. A sustainability plan must be implemented to drive down costs and increase revenue. Sustainability is a high impact factor because the sector needs to reach a rate of sustainable growth in the form of energy production and consumption. In the near future, the sector will have to operate in a more new, stable, and environmentally sustainable way. Sustainability helps to mitigate risk and identify resources to create a business case, implement projects, assess impacts, and report progress to internal and external stakeholders. Cost and efficiency. This is a low impact force because price and efficiency are still important with a relatively low impact, as revenue generation and low running costs are critical. Yes, the revenue generated in the oil and gas industry is high, but the field is still projected to increase and become the growing global market. When production dependency on natural gas and oil is increasing, the industry is expected to continue to generate revenue that can be invested in innovation and new goods and continue to drive down costs. When modern and more effective technologies are found, the cost of discovering and extracting oil and converting it into commodities will gradually decline over time. Into the competition analysis. When designing a strategy, companies should take into account the competition they compete in. Through identifying and evaluating industry trends and results, companies may forecast events, identify potential opportunities. Therefore, companies need resources that can quickly and efficiently interpret a wide range of data. A look at the strategic patterns of potential competitors will be analyzed to provide the knowledge businesses need to build their own approach. Into the industry competitors. At the forefront of the vertical integration were companies such as Texaco, ExxonMobil, Royal Dutch, and Chevron. At the base of the vertical integrations, companies such as Sunoco and Valero are closer to the middle. In terms of high price to quality, multinational offshore firms such as Apache and Dana Petroleum and Premier Oil are listed. Key success factors includes achieving and maintaining economies of scale, increasing global distribution capabilities, supply chain management capabilities, product innovation, innovation in technology, and lowering the cost of production. These aspects allow a company to work effectively and efficiently if carefully and strategically managed. Let us take a look. Key success factors. Businesses could reduce costs by installing additional drilling sites, refineries, storage facilities, and horizontally evolving technology by developing. The next major performance factor comes from the global distribution capacity of a company or from point A to point B to boost global profits. Supply chain management followed by product innovation is the third success factor. Product growth is relevant as an oil and gas company should uphold its social responsibility and cater to its consumers. This is done by making products more environmentally friendly and more efficient. Progress in the consumer is made possible by progressive engineering, which is the main success driver. Industries will produce products by inventing their technologies, such as drilling rigs, refineries, and modes of transportation. Lower cost of production is another factor of success. Further funds are available to be used in many aspects of the company's operations, such as research and development, by reducing production costs, and their products and technology are innovative to become more environmentally friendly and competitive. Let us begin with the internal analysis. The internal analysis is the organizational analysis, which features corporate mission, products and services, leadership team of the organization, organizational culture, structure, and strategy. Also includes the analysis of firm resources, which is tangible and intangible resources, capabilities, core competencies, and sustainable advantages. The internal analysis also includes the financial analysis, the valuation of the company, growth, profitability, financial strength, and management efficiency. A SWOT analysis is also used to look into the internal strengths and weaknesses and external opportunities and threats of the company. An external recommendation and an internal recommendation. Here's your breakdown. And you can kind of see in this slide how everything it's really a roadmap to each other. The corporate mission. Valero will be the premier manufacturer, distributor, and marketer of quality transportation fuels and petrochemical feedstocks, while serving the need of our employees, communities, and stakeholders. Valero's products and services. Valero Energy operates in three main segments in the oil and gas industry. These three segments include refining, ethanol, and renewable diesel. Within these segments, the firm manufactures and the market fuels, producing 4 primary fuels and 8 specialty products. The 4 primary fuels produced were petrol, diesel, jet fuel, and ethanol. Valero sells 3 different types of diesel products, including low sulfur, ultra low sulfur, and diesel from CARB. Asphalt, propane, sulfur, naphthenic oils, solvents, aromatics, natural gas liquids, and petroleum coke are some of Valero's specialty products. Valero's leadership team. As Valero Energy's chairman, president, and CEO, Joe Gorder's duties include leading his business and board of directors to the oil and gas industry's success. In addition to President May 2014, Joe Gorder became chairman of the board and CEO in December 2014. He served as president and chief operating officer before entering these positions and was responsible for refining operations, as well as commercial marketing, supply and transportation operations. His tenure as president, chairman, and CEO of Valero was long, but satisfying. Mr. Gorder operates alongside 17 employees, each playing multiple roles and performing different duties throughout the activities of the organization. The organizational culture. Valero is committed to health and safety, sharing its success with communities, staff, stakeholders, and society as a whole. Their core values of dignity, quality, and consistency of the business provide the structure that creates their statement of purpose. Valero will establish its business model by using these core values that help it to thrive in the harsh oil and gas industry. With both these cultural aspects and its employees, communities, and stakeholders, Valero is able to achieve excellence. The structure. The organizational structure of Valero is a formal and informal legislation and rule system within which a company arranges its power and contact lines and determines rights, responsibilities through an executive team, board of directors, stakeholders, and regional offices. The higher levels of executive team and board of directors are focused on being successful, while the lower regional offices are more focused on being competitive with the resources available. Valero's strategy. Valero Energy works under a performance-sized rising scale and knowledge-based cost management approach. Like many other firms, each branch and company division runs on a low-cost oriented approach due to the one market concentration when dealing with prices. Valero continues to focus on workers and suppliers' security performance as well as lead with the U.S. Top Safety Award. Administration of public safety and health and other departments. Their main focus is to reduce air pollution from operating activities, including startup, restart, and breakdown events. Operational quality also plays a key role in existing their productivity as a company and enhancing their environmental efficiency and exchange. Valero's tangible resources. The tangible resources are physical items, including inventory, machinery, cash, land, or buildings, and can be easily liquidated. Valero's Energy's tangible resources include refineries, retail locations, equipment used to extract, refine, and transport their products, storage facilities, financial assets, and technology it develops. Their intangible resources. The intangible resources lack physical substance and are usually very hard to evaluate and provide value to the company in the future. Intangible resources include human assets, patents, copyrights, relationships, franchises, and brand image. Valero Energy's intangible resources include employees, patents, distribution network. Although all of these are valuable, employees of Valero, the company's patents, and its distribution network are considered rare. The capabilities. A firm's capabilities is a firm's ability to manage resources effectively to gain an advantage over their competitors. The capabilities of Valero Energy is its ability to refine crude oils that they can buy cheaper than Brent crude, their international benchmark that sets prices for refined products, retain a skilled and competent workforce to drive customer service and excellence, and distribute their products on their rare distribution network. A core competencies are defined by resources and strategic advantages of a firm, including pooled knowledge and technical capacities that allow it to be competitive in the marketplace. Based on the VRIO analysis on Valero, the core competencies that Valero Energy is organized around it and provide it with sustainable advantages that have been identified as the financial resources in their distribution network. Let's take a look at its financial analysis. The financial analysis will include the examination of Valero Energy's valuation, growth, profitability, financial strength, and management efficiency. This allows insight into its current and past performance and allows predictions to be made in the future. Let's take a look at this. The price to earning ratio reflects the share price and equity profits and compares them. The bigger it is, the more it is considered desirable. This is the amount of money that an investor is willing to spend per share of current earnings per dollar. The price-book ratio is the comparison between stock market value and book value. The stock of companies is valued directly and the company is financially stable. Price-book ratios above 1 reflect financial security and no anticipated reductions in Valero Energy's earning power. It is used to calculate profit after the price of goods is sold, is subtracted so that the productivity analysis can be performed. Gross profit is how well a corporation does and how well it will pay its expenses. With a decline in 2018, the gross profit of Valero Energy remains relatively constant, but then rising again. Let's take a look here at the current ratio. The current ratio of Valero Energy approaches 1, meaning that the company debts are less than their capital, and if financial obligations are due, they can be paid off. This shows the firm's position on short-term reserves and then tests the willingness of the company to satisfy its short-term commitments with its most liquid assets. Valero's quick ratio started at 1.17 in 2015 and rose to 1.25 in 2017, then fell to 1.09 in 18. The fast rotor measures the amount of liquid assets dollar against the sum of existing liabilities dollar. A result of 1 is considered a normal fast ratio, which indicates that the corporation has ample capital to liquidate if it is necessary to pay off current liabilities. The return on assets ratio contrasts a company's productivity to its total assets and tests how effective management is to use its capital to produce profits. The return on assets for Valero Energy is well above recommended one, demonstrating the company's ability to generate earnings effectively. Let's take a look here. The SWOT analysis of Valero. So, some major strengths Valero has: it has a strong free cash flow, automation, a strong dealer community, and customer satisfaction. Under its opportunities, market development, economic uptick, new technology, and stable free cash flows. The weaknesses of the company include product range, forecasting, high attrition rate, days inventory. The threats include workforce shortage, new technology, currency fluctuations, and rising pay. Just to touch here on one of the biggest strengths Valero has under their strong free cash flow is Valero is really good at maximizing its cash flow through the company by purchasing product on net terms and selling it for cash. This gives them direct control over their capital. So they do maintain a very strong free cash flow. External recommendations. Technological change and environmentally friendly approaches are one of the most important driving forces in the oil industry, focusing on operating efficiency and cleaner renewable energy sources. Environmental demands will continue to be placed on firms operating in this sector that have not already invested in these technologies, particularly cleaner alternatives. When new laws and regulations are introduced, there will be no issues for the firms that have been able to meet these requirements and continue to develop their technology. This technological transition and eco-friendly solutions must be accepted by companies that want to thrive in the future. Into the internal recommendation. To make investments, develop new technologies to remain competitive, and concentrate on its market forecasts and product range, Valero Energy will focus on maintaining its high free cash flow. By doing so, Valero gains a competitive advantage over its competitors. But thank y'all very much for listening to my presentation on Valero Energy. I hope you enjoyed it. I sure enjoyed writing the paper and making the slideshow here. I do want to touch on Valero's cash flow deal. I know I talked about it quite a bit throughout the paper, but cash flow is very important in this industry. And Valero, because they can maintain their such a good state of high free cash flow and holding a lot of their own capital, that does give them leverage against other companies in the cutthroat industry. So I appreciate y'all listening to me, and I hope you enjoyed the slideshow. Thank y'all.